Hey there, Story Manifestor. I'm so glad you're here. I'm Leah Falls, and today we're talking a bit about an unexpected diversion of this year. As you probably have noticed, I have not been on here for a while. I haven't been in your subscription feeds, any notifications, and if you're seeing this from any other social media account, I have not posted there either. Unfortunately, that is not because of a cool Mars expedition or something like that. It is because I've been very ill. I've mentioned in the past before that I struggle with some chronic conditions, and they have become a little bit more to handle in the past month. I've been I've been sick for 3 months now. In the past couple of weeks, I've seen a bit of improvement, but before that, I was pretty much bedridden. And I'm not entirely sure yet how things are going to go in the future. There's a couple of potential treatment ways, but one of the biggest things I'm struggling with is very heavy fatigue and flu-like feelings. And I want to give you all an update here, just because I don't like just disappearing. This is not going to be I'm leaving YouTube or I'm shutting the channel down, but I've talked before about my book launch and all those things, and I want to give you an overview of where we're at with that, what to expect in the future, and also how 2021 has been for me so far, which is an interesting extension from 2020. Let's jump in. Alright, first of all, an overarching view of my health situation. If this is too much information, you can skip around to get to the parts that interest you. But to talk about how this channel is going to go forward, I want to give you a little bit of background. I got sick in February, March with sort of a reoccurring Epstein-Barr infection, and that didn't leave due to extenuating other factors that are chronic for me. At the moment, I'm treating those other factors, so it's getting a bit better, but I have definitely learned about the ups and downs that can happen, and I don't have a lot of spoons of energy at the moment. The last few months have been very much spent in fog, in fatigue fog and brain fog, and it's a very weird state for me because I'm a very energetic person. I'm a very go-getter person, and in terms of like mental health, I know it sounds very similar to like depression symptoms, but I'm much more prone to anxiety. I haven't experienced depression in a long time, and it's been very scary and weird for me to be in this state where I just can't do anything, especially seeing as I had, the book launch planned for this summer, which more to that in a bit. So over the last couple months, instead of trying to get any content out, even though I had a couple of videos already recorded, which will probably be coming out in a few weeks, hopefully, let's see. But instead of trying to push through, I was focusing on finding diagnoses, finding treatments, finding out more, especially because it was such a drastic turn this year that I want to make sure nothing else was underlying was there. Was it a sentence? Sort of. So I did a bunch of tests, and if you have experienced chronic illness before or have someone in your life that has disabilities or anything in that regard, you probably know the space of, no, you're perfectly healthy. All your tests are great. You're in top health. And while you're bedridden, unable to do anything, that's not what you want to hear. So it's been a bit of an emotional roller coaster. Fortunately, we did find an area in the end. Now, I don't want to discuss my whole medical thing on YouTube, but if you are someone who has struggled with chronic fatigue syndrome and general vague chronic illnesses, I really want you to check out some probiotics, some heavy probiotics, because that's the only thing that has helped me. My brand is called Pro 50, I think. I don't get sponsored or anything, but I'll leave a link just in case it helps someone. That's what I've been doing, and it's slowly working. So that's not bad on that side. Now, let's talk about the book for a moment. Unfortunately, I really had to put everything down for it, especially because I was in the okay, getting it on all the platforms, the nitty-gritty of marketing, of keywords, of like making sure the blurb is perfectly polished, and then getting all the marketing set. And when you can't think at all, those big picture things were just not doable whatsoever. I am now hoping and aiming for a late October release, so like Halloween spooky time, which would be really good thematically too, seeing as it's a dark fantasy. And I'm hoping for that. I can't promise that yet, but I'm hoping for that. That being said, because I'm still really wanting to publish this year, there's a couple of factors to that. One, the publishing takes a lot of energy. Two, it's a series and I want to write the sequels, and as I discussed a couple months ago in my like year plan, I already have a current work in progress that is like 20,000 words away from being finished, and I put so much energy into that already. And three, I've also been working on some short stories. So there's writing projects, and I have not been able to write much this year at all. I finished a couple of short stories, tiny steps towards other projects. But with the limited energy at the moment, I really want to have whatever energy I can have, I really want to put into the publication and into the writing. The writing itself it's my career, it's what makes me happy, it's what fulfills me, and it's also ultimately what I want to connect to the world with. Like I love talking to you all like this, but ultimately I want to connect to readers, and I want to tell stories and connect through storytelling and through characters. So I'm not stopping this YouTube channel, but while I have these very limited spoons, I want you to know that my priority is going to be those other two things. I just cannot try to do it all at the moment. On that note, if you do want to stay in touch with me, even though there's like few videos out, and want to know more about my process and where I'm at and get some writing, do please sign up to my newsletter. I have been updating the monthly newsletter. Yay! One thing I've been able to do. The link to my website is in the description, so please do check it out. There should be like a little pop-up where you can sign up. And I'll be sharing a short little flash fiction piece in a couple of days as well there, and also any updates for the book launch and such. So if you don't see a lot of updates on YouTube, that would be a great place to stay in touch if you'd like to do that. My cats are on a diet and it's almost feeding time, so it's like mere impossible to keep them quiet. On top of that, the last couple of months have also been a little bit difficult in terms of chaotic life changes. There have been some job adjustments again for my wife's day job, and hopefully in a little bit everything's going to be much easier. It should be. I'm hoping that there'll be more giveaway towards the book promotion, and I'll be able to give out more arcs. If you're interested in any of that kind of thing, do reach out to me, sign up to the newsletter, because that's where I'll be sharing a lot of things. So I'm currently hoping that by July I'll be starting to put out stuff about my book and promotion and all that kind of stuff. So, and hopefully also some fun videos in regards to that on this channel. They have just gotten fat. Lucky bastards. I'm also planning to release a Pride video next month, hopefully. Some more book reviews. Let's see what can come, but yeah, just expect less. And because this channel started as a mindset and storytelling channel, and like writing and mindset and that kind of stuff, I do want to talk a little bit about 3 things I've been really practicing and learning over the past 3 months of mostly being in bed, just because I think they might help other people as well. One of them is when things are really hard and when you constantly tell yourself you wish things would be easier, it is a really great practice to practice approaching things with ease as much as possible. Now it sounds kind of like stupid, like okay, practice it with ease, but it's not easy. But it's helped me so much. So whenever everything just felt difficult, I've been asking myself, how can I approach this with more ease right now? And sometimes that just means an extra pillow. And sometimes that means, okay, you know what, this is just what I'm trying to do. I don't have the abilities to. And well, we had really bad news financially about a month ago, and it's turned around quite magnificently. But when we got that, my wife and I, we practiced that a lot of like, okay, how can we just approach it with as much ease as possible so it becomes easier to deal with? And that's been working. So if you're struggling with things at the moment, definitely try asking yourself the question, how can I approach things with more ease at the moment? Now, with all mindset things and with all those kind of practice things, the most important thing is to not use those questions to guilt yourself. So don't ask yourself, well, why aren't you making this easier for yourself? Or how could you do this with more ease because you're making things difficult, or any of that kind of stuff. No, it always has to come from a loving place. So lovingly ask yourself, okay, I can see you're struggling, I can see I'm struggling, and that's okay. How can we approach that with more ease? So that's one thing. Second thing, very important for people with any kind of health conditions, is I really learned in the past couple months to say I am taking myself seriously, because it's difficult when all the tests come back negative. You're very prone to tell yourself that things are just in your head because society tells us that. And first of all, mental illnesses are completely valid and difficult experiences as well. So all in your head shouldn't be a devaluing factor in the first place. But when you know you're struggling with physical things, don't take on that narrative. Just keep taking yourself seriously. That's what I've been doing, and it's been very helpful. I've been telling myself over and over again, like, no, I'm taking myself seriously. This is not how my life's supposed to just go. And that's how we eventually found out. My wife and I found our way to something that's actually helping, that I'm sitting here and talking to you halfway animated and sort of did my hair. So yeah, that's another lesson. And then number 3, I'm not sure if this is going to be super helpful for people, but I mentioned anxiety earlier, and it was really hard to just have like all your plans for the year built and then just them wiped and have no idea where to go. And as I said, there were a couple of additional factors that were making things completely unpredictable, and life has been very unpredictable. One of the things I easily slip into, and maybe you too, is when things are unpredictable, to try whatever you can to predict them and to control them. And that is not healthy because things are unpredictable. So you cannot think your way out of that unpredictability. You gotta embrace it somehow. So what I started doing is I started really writing down the next couple steps, like, okay, we don't know what's happening medically. We don't know what's happening physically with me. What are the next steps we're taking to find that out, and write them down. And then every time I started ruminating over it again, I said, thank you. I have put enough thought into the next steps right now. I've put enough thoughts into that. Thank you. And then try to distract myself as well as possible. That doesn't always work, but I have found it to work, because it's sort of hard for an anxious mind to argue with that when it's like you write that out, you have that list, and then you just answer, thank you, I have the list, those are the next steps. So of course you can then still doubt the steps and all of that, but it gives you more leverage to then divert towards better thoughts. So that's the third thing. That's not all of it. I definitely had a lot of time for reflection in the past couple months, and for reading some good books, although there's so many books I really want to read, like Legendborn. I started about 3 months ago and I got like a chapter and a half into it, but I can't handle like grief and sadness right now, because I just need something that's A, somewhat easy to comprehend, and B, like keeps me going, which is why this is not a book review one. But oh my god, this book freaking saved me. I loved it so much. I read it while getting a freaking PET scan. Not while getting the PET scan, that would have been weird, but while waiting to get my PET scan. And it's, if you need to pick me up, this book, that's lesson number 4. Read this book. But yes, that's kind of my update. And if you know me well, follow me on social media, or just are friends and family and more interested, I am okay. I'm fine mentally. I'm okay. It's going to take a little bit of readjustment to get back into some kind of normal rhythm. But also, if it doesn't, it'll be okay. I'll probably start making my way back to social media soon. But it's also sort of a very energy heavy activity. And because it's summer now and my migraines are getting worse, it's also not always possible. To end it on a good note though, I did do some writing and I'm really proud of it. I had some lovely times with my wife. I read some really good books. And yeah, it continues. And Goddess of Limbo will be published. It will be published. Maybe not in October, but I think so. Not this summer, but it will be published. And I know it will be. Thanks y'all for watching, and I'm sending y'all a big heart and a warm hug and a goodbye. Subscribe to my newsletter. Just don't stand at the door, yeah?